Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I'm the owner and creator of Kids Vintage Farmhouse in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I'm so happy and thankful that you stopped in to craft and spend a little time with me today. Now, last week I shared with you guys some of the brand new Spring 2024 IOD pieces, and we made some beautiful decor from that. And I couldn't compile it all into one video because there's just so much of it and it's so beautiful. So we're going to be doing thrift flips today using some IOD products once again. But listen, even if you have no intentions whatsoever of trying out the brand new Spring 2024 IOD collection, I really want you to stick around because I'm going to be showing you some techniques in this video that you can use on all your thrift flips. So, there was one other thing I wanted to share with you guys. I hope you'll stick around to the end of the video because I found the most gorgeous vintage piece. It's 1916 and I really want to share it with you guys. I'm just ecstatic about it. But enough of all this blabbing, let's just get on into the video. The first piece is this gorgeous recipe holder that I found while I was thrifting on my vacation in Destin last summer. And I've been holding on to it because I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do with it. It's got the bird at the top, and if you guys know me, most of my home decor is birds, right now anyway. And so I wanted to do something really special. And when I got a hold of this new spring collection from IOD, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I'm showing you black velvet here because at first I was just going to paint it, and I did put a couple of strokes on there, but pieces like this is so much easier to take outside and spray paint. So that's what I did. I used my Rust-Oleum 2 times in matte black and gave it a few coats. I just feel like when you have a piece like this that has so many like little nooks and crannies where the paint could get lost or kind of glob up, it's so much better just to spray paint it. Now, I made in preparation for this video a bunch of the resin molds, and this is from the Conservatory Labels mold. It's my favorite one. I'm probably going to label everything in my house since I've gotten this mold. And what I'm going to do is just use that black velvet to give it a few coats real quick. Then I got a hold of these stamps that they sent, and these things are amazing because they have 4 different fonts in there, and it's perfect to use with the Conservatory Labels mold because you can, put all of whatever wording that you want to on there. And since I colored it in black, I decided that the best thing to do would to be use some white ink, and I'm just simply going to put the word recipe on here. I've got the word already spelled out in the font that I want on my little thin mount. I have 2 thin mounts. It comes in one big sheet, and then I have it cut down into smaller sheets so I can use it for projects like this. Now, I had to use the E and the S over again, or actually I did the E and the S there later, you see. And I actually didn't like that it said recipes, so all I did was just took a little bit more of that paint and I colored over the S, and we've got recipe on here. Then I took a little bit of my Titebond Quick and Thick glue, and I'm going to place it on the little recipe stand itself, and then on the back of my little label I just put a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to place that on there. And I was going to use my rub and buff, but I didn't really want a gold color. I wanted like a coppery bronze. And I remembered that Miss Lori over at Milton's Daughter sent me this wax paste, and it's a Pentart product. Now, the rub and buff is not the cheapest thing in the world. It's a great product, but this is a good comparison product, and it's a lot cheaper. It's Pentart, and it kind of does the same thing if you ask me. Now, this one is a bronzy color, and you see all I'm doing is putting it on my finger and putting it anywhere on this piece where I think it's going to be beautiful and stand out. Now, my main focal pieces of this is going to be that little label at the bottom that says recipe, and it has flowers on the side. So, of course, I wanted to use a lot of the paste on it. And then at the top on my bird here, I'm sorry I'm a little bit out of frame, but what I did was just put a lot of it on his wings because I really wanted that to shine. And then I put it on these little hanger things. Now, these have like a little heavy ball on a chain. And I'm assuming it's when you have your cookbook open, you can stick that in there to kind of use like a bookmarker, you know, like kind of to hold your place. And this is all I did to this one. Some pieces you don't have to do much to them, and they turn out gorgeous.
Places where you spend your time. Ain't no place I'd rather go. You're a funny little critter and I love you so, man. I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. I come and sit down with me in a rocking chair. Coffee pot is nice and hot.
Now, for my second DIY, I found this at the thrift store and I paid $1.99 for it, but I know that label anywhere. That's from Dollar General, and it was originally 12 bucks, so I think paying $2 for it is a pretty good change up. Now, it's one of those boards where I think they call them letter boards, where you can take these plastic letters and kind of spell out whatever you want, like dinner tonight is this or that. But we're going to make it a beautiful piece of home decor. I'm going to use the DIY paint color called Faded Burlap, and I ended up giving it 2 coats. Now, if you want to try out any of this DIY paint, those Pentart products, or any of these brand new IOD collection pieces, go see my buddy, Miss Lori, over at www.miltonsdaughter.com. Let her know that Crafty Kathy sent you. She is amazing, guys. She's the only business owner that I know that will pick up the phone and call someone to get an order right. She's just amazing. And if you don't believe me, read the comments. You'll see people saying, I can't believe she called me, and she's so amazing. And sometimes I'll send her some of the comments, and I'm like, you know what? If you need cheering up, read this comment. But anyways, that's where I get a lot of my products from. So if you want any of the products that you see me use, go check out Miss Lori. Now on the sides here, I decided to use black velvet because I didn't want to leave it just this brown color. Here I just used like my little pointy paintbrush, that's what I call it, and I was real careful, and I just enjoyed the time and the process of painting because it's very calming to me. And you see it kind of goes out on the front part where it almost looks like I have outlined it, you know what I mean? And that doesn't bother me at all. That's what I wanted because I like it to have that black like ring around it because I think that really kind of makes it stick out. And you'll see here, I even further went around with my finger to make sure that I smeared it a little bit and got that look that I was looking for. Now on this beauty, we're going to use the brand new Pastiche stamp. And this is my favorite of all their stamps. Well, you know, it's a hard choice because I really like those little mini ones that are called the apothecary stamps. Those are amazing because of the size. But look at all the different like bird cages, the vintage bird cages, the old cloches. It's got that little timepiece in the middle and the butterfly. Now, the very first time that you get an IOD stamp, you need to use a 220 grit sandpaper and just go over it. I go over it one direction and then I turn around and go over it the opposite direction. You don't have to do it except for this one time before you ever use your stamps, and then you never have to do it again. It just kind of seasons your stamp and gets it ready to make all your beautiful projects. The first one that I want to put down right in the center is this largest bird cage. I just think that it makes such a statement, and I want that right in the middle of this big old board. So I'm just using black permanent ink. I'm going to ink it up, and I just left it right on the backing because the back of this is almost like a thin mount. It's just not as firm as a thin mount. And I'm just going to use it so that I can stamp while it's still on there. I flipped my stamp around, and you just commit to where you're going to put it, and you literally just drop it. Hands off is what I tell myself. That's why I always throw my hands up and look crazy. But you hold one hand still, hold it with one hand, while you walk your fingers around it with the other. Now, I've seen people rub it like I just did, and then I see people walk their fingers around it like I'm doing here. Either way, I notice it turns out fine. And look how beautiful. Now the next piece that I want to use is this cute little bird, and he's sitting on like a little perch inside of his bird cage. And I realized he's kind of long, like the little chain part where that's holding him there is long. And so all I did was just take a little bit of a baby wipe and wipe the top of it off. That way it's not going to stamp up there. And I can actually bring him up a little bit more because I just didn't want him so close to the bottom of the cage. So I'm doing the same thing. I commit and I drop it. I'm so strange. And then I hold it with one hand and I'm walking over it with the other. You know, I guess it really doesn't matter how you stamp as long as you get a good, stamp when it's done. And I think I accomplished that here. I think my bird is gorgeous. But it is kind of odd that I do that and throw my hands up like, I don't know, guys, whatever. And then the next one that I'm going to use is a cloche. And I want this cloche to look like it is behind this bird cage. So in order to do that, we're going to have to use one of those masks. And now you get to see what the masks are actually for. Everybody's like, why do they send us these little masks? Okay, well, I'm going to show you. The reason why I'm going to use this mask to cover up my little bird cage is because, like I said, I want the cloche to look like it's behind it. And so whenever I put my mask down on this bird cage and I stamp that cloche beside it, the part that's laying on this little piece of plastic, the mask, is not going to stamp. And it looks like it's right behind it. And I totally forgot until right now while I'm editing this that I liked this book stack and I stuck that in the middle of my cloche. It looks like it's 3 or 4 books stacked on top of each other. And you see I'm doing that exact same process. I'm holding it still with one hand, walking my fingers over it with the other hand, and then I'm just going to pick it up. Now, my books didn't stamp exactly like I wanted them to. So what I did was inked it back up and laid it down right over the top of it and inked it once more. I guess in the process of just trying to make that cloche perfect, I just didn't push down enough on the books. But like I said, it's no big deal. You can lay it right down over the top and do it again. I inked up a different bird cage, a smaller one, and I left that mask over that because I do want this bird cage to look like it's in behind that one big bird cage also. So I'm doing the same process, holding it still with one hand, walking it over or rubbing it with the other, and look how beautiful this turned out. It's so pretty. Now I'm going to show you a technique that I absolutely love to use with these stamps. I'm using the DIY paint in the color called Prom Queen. It's just a beautiful light blue color, and I'm coloring my bird. And I bet you're thinking right now, Kathy, you're messing that bird up. But hold your horses, baby. I'm about to show you something real cool. Okay, I just go over the top of him, and I'm not really trying to get it in any certain spot. I'm just kind of being like haphazard and just sticking it on there. You know what I mean? And then I'm going to use a little bit of my faded burlap because it is just the right color, I think, to kind of add down at the bottom. And I'm actually kind of mixing it in with that blue in some areas. I'm being kind of light about it. I'm not pressing down hard, and I'm just coloring in my bird. I'm going to go over a few little places on his head just very lightly with a color called Liquid Sunshine. Now, it is a very, very bright yellow color from DIY Paint. And you see, I'm not putting it in any particular place. I'm just kind of putting a little spot here and a spot there. Because if you look at a bird, that's kind of what they look like. And while that paint's drying, I'm going to take this beautiful butterfly that's also in the pastiche stamp, and I'm going to stick it up toward the top. Now, I'm going to do the exact same thing with that butterfly as that I just did with the bird. I'm going to go through and just very haphazardly, no certain way, I'm just putting a little bit of orange on it, and that color is called Summer Crush. It's just a really pretty orange. And then I grab that Liquid Sunshine, which is that yellow color again, and I'm going right back over and just kind of blending in and adding stuff. Now, here's the kicker. When your paint is dry, you go over it with your stamp once again, right over the top of it, and when you pull that stamp back, look how beautiful that is. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing down here with my bird. I drop my bird right over the top of where I had it before, and I'm going to pull it away, and it's going to reveal a beautiful little colored bird. With this cutting board having all the lines in the front of it, it's kind of hard to see all the beautiful detail in that bird, but I still think it makes a beautiful statement. Now here I'm using the Lover of Flowers transfer book. It's one of everyone's favorites from this collection. It has all these beautiful flowers in it, and I'm going to use this beautiful piece that's just going to kind of ring around and go in the front of my birdhouse. All of these pieces are so pretty, it was hard to pick, but I really like this one that had the white flowers. And I'm going to show you something. I didn't want to put this piece as a whole. You can cut your transfers up and use them bits and pieces however you want, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. I just kind of do like a fussy cut around a flower, and it looks very natural when you do it that way instead of just cutting a straight line. Now, what I'm going to do is use this piece of the transfer in the very front of the biggest bird cage because I think that's where it makes the biggest statement. The way that I do my transfers is I kind of hold it with one hand, and while I'm using that little plastic tool that they send you with every transfer, and all you do is just rub it, and it sticks to anything, guys. It just comes up so easy, and it's so beautiful. Look how pretty. And then you use the backing that it came off of and you burnish it. And all that means is that you just take that piece of plastic that you just pulled it off of, rub it over the top of your transfer, and it basically just makes it have a really good hold. There's a few things you could do that would really help out my channel. If you would hit the like button, and if you would leave me a comment, even if it's just an emoji. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. If you would do these few little things for me, I promise I'll give you a big old bear hug when I see you. Unless you don't like bear hugs. In that case, I'd give you a good old fist bump. Now here I'm just going through with an X-Acto knife and cutting out these lines. I don't know, but I just like the way that looks better. Here I'm just using another little random flower that came out of that book because I just didn't feel like it had enough flowers. And I wanted to bring out that orange color that's in the butterfly. And this was kind of a peachy color, so I added it there. And then I went through with my X-Acto knives and made the line. And then I like to use just like a stiff paintbrush and brush it out of there to make sure that there's no bits and pieces of that transfer still down in my little lines. We're going to use DIY Paint's Big Top. Now, Big Top is a sealer. If you do use the DIY paints, you do have to seal them. So, and they also say that it's best that you seal these transfers. So that's what I'm doing, is just going through, and I go over it with one coat to make sure that this piece is going to be good and sealed and that it's not going to come up. One of my favorite things to do is take an ink pad and go around just to make like that black line. Remember at the first when I painted it and I said I didn't mind if a little bit of the black shows? That's basically what I'm doing there. Once again, I'm going to use one of these labels. This is the conservatory labels, by the way, that I made these up. I made them up ahead of time because it's just so much easier and quicker for the video. And I'm just going to go over it and paint it with that same color that I painted the piece with, and it's called Faded Burlap. I'm going to grab my small stamps again called Apothecary Labels, and they're also called mini stamps. Now, these are the ones that have like 4 different fonts in them. I love these stamps. I can't say it enough. And it has EST at the bottom for established, and I did 1924. So I'm just using my little small piece of thin mount, and I'm just putting it out there, established 1924, putting my black ink on there, and I'm going to stamp it. When you have such small pieces like that, what I do is just lay it down and kind of walk it over with 2 fingers on one hand and 2 on the other. And then here I'm just going through with my ink pad again and kind of going around and making sure that I am getting that nice and accentuated where you can see all that beautiful black ink around it. Then I'm going to take my Type Bond Quick and Thick, and I'm just going to slather a little bit of it on the back and a little bit of my hot glue on the back, and I'm going to place it right down at the bottom of my cutting board, you know, right in the center. And I love the way this looks, but it still isn't enough with the ink pad yet. So I went through and just really put it on there again. I'm just like going crazy with the ink pad, y'all. I mean, it's just gorgeous to me. And I hope that you like this one as much as I do. Now, the third and the fourth DIYs are real simple and quick. I know all of these have really been simple and quick, but this one really is. I got this Olin Mills frame. I got a bunch of them at the thrift store a few years ago. And Olin Mills, you know, was a big photography thing back in the 80s especially. I only paid 99 cents for all these frames, and some of my frames were like 20 by 40s. I have my children's 1-year-old picture in these 99-cent frames that are huge, and they're gorgeous. So anyways, I'm going to go over it with the color called Layered Chocolate. I don't use that one a lot, but it's really pretty, and it is a matte chocolate color. Now, I went ahead and gave this frame 2 coats. I don't know what intarnation they sealed this frame with, but it had some kind of almost like a slick finish on it. I can't really describe what it was, but you'll see in just a minute what happened. Now, those of y'all that was around my channel about a year ago, do y'all remember when I went to that little vintage booth and I found this old nursing yearbook? Y'all know that I'm a nurse and my mama is too. Now, this is an old yearbook from Erlanger Nursing School, and that's where Mama graduated from. So I love finding old things like this. And remember, it had the signed picture of Gomer Pyle in it. So what I did was I settled in on this picture in the back that's got these 4 nurses back there. A couple of them have their little hats on back that they used to have to wear. Thank God we don't have to wear those anymore when we're working. And it's got an old Coca-Cola machine in the background. And I'm going to take the back of that picture frame and lay it down and just trace it out. And I'm going to cut that picture out. Yes, I cut into my old vintage nursing book, but I have a couple of more. My favorite way to get anything to stick is to use a glue stick. It's so easy, and I'm using a permanent glue stick. I get these off of Amazon, and you get like 4 of them for around $3.87 or something. It's a great deal, and it's in my Amazon store if you want some. And that's all I needed to get this picture to stick down in there. I'm going to take this beautiful piece, and it's from that transfer book called Lover of Flowers again. And again, I want to just tell you guys that you can use these in bits and pieces. Even though this comes in a circle like this, most people, that's how they use it. But I want to challenge you not to do that. I like to just cut mine up and just use it here and there as I want. And furthermore, if I just did it in that circle, it's not going to fit exactly around this frame the way I need it to. Now, I didn't want that middle writing in there, so I just cut it out. I'm going to take this piece and do it like I did before. I kind of cut either around a flower, I just fussy cut around the flower, or around a twig or something, so it looks natural. And I'm just trying to figure out the placement that I want here. And then I realized I didn't want all that transfer on there. I just wanted like a small piece, really, to be honest with you. Now, this is where I knew that they put some kind of crazy something on this doggone frame. Even though I put down that DIY paint, I probably should have just went ahead and sealed it, before I put down my transfer. But I walk on the wild side, and I guess I just like to make my life harder because, honey, I do. And I just laid my transfer down, and this frame was shaped kind of strange anyways. It had like a big bubble and then a couple of like little smaller divots in it. So I kind of gave me a time getting this transfer on there. But when things like this happen, don't flip out, because you can always either cover it up or fix it. And then again, if it makes like little wrinkles or something, a lot of people like that because it looks vintagey. See, you probably wouldn't have even noticed anything unless my big mouth told you. So I'm just going to go around here, get my little bits and pieces again exactly how I want it, and I'm just adding it on. Now, all I wanted from this little piece that I'm using is just that piece that's like a long fern or like a frond right there. And you see, I'm just using my fingernail instead of that little tool that they give me, because sometimes I find that if I have something that's shaped kind of different like this and it's given me a challenge, sometimes it's easier for me to use my fingernail. And these little pieces, some of them were kind of hard to stick, and I'm telling you right now, IOD sticks to anything. That's why I know that there was some kind of craziness that they put on the, sealed this frame with. Even though I put the paint down, I should have just went ahead and sealed it before, but you live and learn. I'm going to use DIY's Pennies from Heaven. It's a copper patina, and I just think it's so beautiful. It's kind of like, think of it as the liquid patina, but it's copper. So it's a patina. It will seal stuff. And I knew that I wanted a lot of gold because I thought it would really pop with this brown, and it would really pop with that beautiful transfer. And I just kind of haphazardly put it all around the frame where I thought it would look good. And that's all I did to this one. Now, on our very last DIY, I haven't used this mold yet, and a lot of people was wanting me to come up with something from this mold. It's called Invitation Only, and it's got the cat, the dog, the little fox, and the stag. Now, this is just a small little cheap piece that I got from Dollar Tree last year. Or you can use something like this, just something that you can hold a picture in. I got this one that says Feeling Fruity from the Dollar General. And what I did was, remember, I did these ahead of time. Now, I'm going to take the little stand that this dog is on because I don't particularly want it for this project that I'm going to do. So I just cut it off with the scissors. Now, mind you, I had made these resins up yesterday and they're already hardened. If I would have cut this right when I first made the resin, it would have been a lot easier to cut. And it wasn't difficult to cut. It just took a little bit of finagling. Now, y'all know that I've got a pug, and I know that this is a bulldog, but he also looks like a pug, and that's what I'm going to make him, doggone it. So I'm using the color called Sandy Blonde because it's a perfect color for a fawn pug. And I'm just going to go over the whole face area and the ears of my little dog. Then I used the color Black Velvet by DIY Paint to go over the little areas of his tuxedo, and don't forget to go around the sides. Then I swapped over to my little detailed brushes, and I get these off of Amazon, and they're in my Amazon store if you want any. They're awesome to have in your crafting arsenal. And I just went over his little nose, because if you've ever seen a pug, my pugs, on all the registration papers, it says that they are fawn with a black mask. They call that area on their face a mask, where their little nose is black and their little muzzle area is black. And if you think about it, it kind of does look like a little mask. And then I kind of colored his little eyes in black and his hat. And then I'm taking this beautiful red color called Carnival Red, and I just went over his little bow tie. I used my tiny little brush again to go over and make the details that I wanted to add and take away, because I realized I put too much black on the top. Then I'm just going to go over it with some clear wax. I'm going to add a little bit of the black wax so that all the details will really pop, and that's why I'm putting down the clear wax first. It's going to make it easier to wipe back where I need to do that at. And here I'm just showing you where I took the tiniest amount of black wax and I put it on the end of my finger. See how little bit I have? And I'm very gently just brushing over the areas that I had painted sandy blonde, because I really want those areas to pop and show all that beautiful detail. I'm wiping it back with just a clean, lint-free linen rag. And then I'm taking my pinking shears here and I'm just cutting out this picture of my son with Sabby and Sophie. Now, a lot of you guys remember old Sabby, my dog that used to sing on my channel, and that's him in the little pimp hat there on the right side. And then little Sophie was his woman. They had a couple of litters of puppies together, and I lost her back in, I think, 2020. I wish y'all could have met her because she was so precious. But anyways, they were a hot power couple, and I absolutely miss my babies every day. So I'm cutting this picture out, and it's already has like a little clip, and I'm just going to clip it right up in the top. Now here I'm just putting down a little bit of my Type Bond Quick and Thick glue. I put it on the piece itself and just a couple little pieces of hot glue on my doggy so I can place him on there and it'll hold on to him now. I'm going to use this wax paste again that's kind of that bronzy copper color. It's actually called bronze, not copper, but it's a bronzy copper color, okay? So I've got some on my fingernail or my finger, and I'm just going around anywhere that I really want to accentuate on this frame. It really took this old Dollar Tree frame up a notch. So I promised y'all that I would show you the piece that I found. This is a 1916 Cheney phonograph, and it's the old record player that you wind up on the side. Here is little areas where you put your records, and it's just got like a little spare drawer. It's really dirty and it needs to be cleaned up, or it's just dusty, really. I'm surprised that it's in the shape that it's in. It's from 1916, like I said, and a friend of ours just gave this to me. He found it in an old home that nobody lives in anymore, and it's so sad to me that like grandparents leave stuff like this when they pass, and people just don't want it. Like, this stuff is gold to me. I think this is so amazing how you can crank it up and that's how the record plays. And it's just so amazing to me to find a piece like this. Mine has like a long cabinet in it, and the only ones that I could find online, or a lot of them, are the short cabinets. And they sell anywhere between like $800 to $1,400 on like eBay and stuff. But I mean, I would never sell mine, but I'm just saying, as far as I can tell, that's about the value of it. But to me, it's just priceless. And if you stuck with me through this whole video, I just want to say thank you so much. I am so happy and thankful that you came and spent your time with me and crafted with me today. And guys, I hope that you like these thrift flips that we made from these gorgeous IOD Spring collection. Remember, if you want anything from the IOD sisters or any of the DIY paints, just about any of the supplies that you see me use on my channel are from Miss Lori over at www.miltonsdaughter.com, or I might get some things at Amazon, Dollar Tree, things like that. Check out my Amazon store, and please go check out Miss Lori. And guys, don't forget that my videos are every Monday and Thursday. They're coming out at 7:30 because we're on summertime now. Yay! I'm so excited about summer coming, guys. And I'm ready to get my big butt in this swimming pool. All right, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit that little red subscribe button, become a part of our family, leave me a comment, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. All those things help out my channel tremendously, and I can never thank you enough for that. I love you guys, and I will see you back here again on Thursday, Lord willing, and that creek don't rise, honey. And if you did enjoy this type of video, here's one with very similar content. You just tap on it if you're on an iPhone or an iPad, and it'll take you right there when this one's finished. Also, you can click on my face and subscribe. I love you guys. God bless you and your family.